So to conquer diabetes, what do? To conquer diabetes, go for the low glycemic index foods. It's not easy. It's easy. I meant to say it's not hard to get a glycemic index. You can Google that. It's a matter of having berries for breakfast instead of banana. It's as simple as having a sweet potato instead of potato. Having your whole grains, eliminating the wheat. Low GI foods. Number 2, daily legumes. I met a man, he was a scientist, he was 69. He came to our retreat. He said, when I was 42, I was told I had pre-diabetes and to eat legumes every day. He said, I eat legumes every day and I never got diabetes.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Barbara O'Neill. Today we're diving into the causes of diabetes. Understanding what triggers diabetes is important for managing and preventing the condition. In this lecture, we'll look at the key factors that contribute to diabetes, from lifestyle choices to genetic influences. By recognising these causes, you can take practical steps to reduce your risk and maintain better health. Stay tuned to discover practical ways to reduce your risk and manage diabetes effectively.
So what is causing diabetes? Now, most people are fairly aware that sugar's got a big contributing factor. Is that right? It certainly does. What I'd like to do, I'd like to go with the Proverbs 14 verse 6 that says, knowledge is easy to him that understands. And I'd like to have a look at how the body deals with the glucose that gets into the blood. Now, last night we looked at how the enzymes in mouth, in gut, they break down the food to those tiny particles called glucose. Now tonight, I want to show you what happens once it gets into the blood. And never in the history of mankind have human beings eaten so many carbohydrates. And let's have a look at what carbohydrates are. And when you have a look at what they are, you quickly begin to realise why people are consuming so many carbohydrates. What would most people have for breakfast? Cereal, yep, we know because there's a whole aisle devoted to it in the supermarket. And it's a very popular food because the person only has to open the packet, pour into a bowl, put milk on it, goes like wet tissue paper down the hatch, out the door in 10 minutes. No wonder it's popular. And see what's happening today. Many people are going to bed too late because they're on technology. And then they wake up too late. And then, oh dear, what are we going to eat? That's quick. It's very quick. Another one is bread. And because these two don't take you very far, most people by mid-morning are going to, they're reaching for the cakes, biscuits, I don't know, in America they call them cookies, yeah. I know in Australia when you go to America and you see a sign saying biscuits with gravy, we don't understand that because for us a biscuit is like a cookie. But I think in America biscuits are more like a roll or something. Also, Australians love their pies, and the Europeans have introduced us all to pizza, pasta. I don't think there's a home today without pasta, rice, another carbohydrate. My husband's an Irishman. Every main meal must contain potatoes. And last and certainly least in nutritive value is, we've done rice, is the pure crystallized acid that's been extracted from the sugarcane plant. Would that be right? Sugar. Is this what Bermudans eat a lot of? Now, all of these foods break down in the gastrointestinal tract to a little singular structure called glucose. Now, as we saw yesterday, glucose, once it's broken down to glucose, then it gets into the blood. Then it gets on the M1 main highway to another very important organ, to the liver. And the liver determines where it will go. Now, the first place it'll send the glucose is to the cell. So once again, as we did on Monday night, we're going to go to the CBD, Central Business District of the human body, is the inside workings of the cell. So the glucose goes in, and the hormone that influences the entry is insulin. So insulin is the key that unlocks the door to get that glucose into the cell. So the insulin comes in, it goes through a 20-step pathway, and this 20-step pathway gives us 2 units of energy. For those who know the science of this, that's the glycolytic pathway. Now, the end result of the 20-step pathway is a chemical form of glucose called pyruvate. And pyruvate is the chemical form of glucose that gets fed into the next section, and this 8-step pathway gives us a very impressive 36 units of energy. So then the question arises, how come a 20-step pathway only gives us 2 units? And how come a 8-step pathway gives us all that? The difference is oxygen. So this is a pathway that uses oxygen. This is a pathway that doesn't have oxygen. So this pathway produces energy by the process of fermentation.
In the absence of oxygen, the body resorts to fermentation, which is less efficient in producing energy. Fermentation only generates 2 units of energy from glucose compared to the 36 units produced through the oxygen-dependent pathway. This is why oxygen is crucial for efficient energy production in the body. When we consume a high amount of carbohydrates, the glucose from these foods enters the bloodstream and needs to be managed effectively. If there's an excess of glucose and insufficient oxygen, the body relies more on fermentation, leading to less efficient energy production. This imbalance can strain the body's systems, particularly the pancreas, which has to work harder to produce insulin and regulate blood sugar levels. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, a key factor in the development of diabetes. Therefore, understanding how different pathways utilize glucose and the impact of oxygen on energy production highlights the importance of balanced nutrition and proper metabolic function. To manage blood sugar levels and reduce the risk of diabetes, it's essential to consume carbohydrates in moderation and include plenty of oxygen-rich activities like exercise to support efficient energy production and overall metabolic health.
So a lot of people with diabetes, you'll find they're carrying excess weight. Because what's their brain doing? Through the insulin, I must store. You see that? Now, there's another hormone that the pancreas releases, and it's glucagon. Now, what insulin does, it gets the blood sugar level down, as I've just shown you. But if blood glucose levels go too low, glucagon's released, and it gets blood sugar levels up. So can you see the pancreas releases these 2 main hormones that are designed to keep that blood sugar as it should be. But what's happening on this high carbohydrate diet? Huge amounts of glucose are being released, come to the cell, and something starts to develop. It's called insulin resistance. Have you heard of it? Basically, the cell wall says, I'm sick of the sight of you. I'm sick of the sight of you. So it starts to resist. It starts to resist. And the glucose is still in the blood. And the brain's going, oh dear, quick pancreas, more insulin, more insulin, more insulin. But what's the problem? It's not lack of insulin, it's actually insulin resistant. And so eventually the pancreas just says, I'm done with this. I've had enough. I'm worn out. So it's not long after insulin resistance that diabetes happens. Diabetes mellitus simply means sugar in the urine. Because if the glucose can't get into the blood, then it has to spill out into the urine. Can you see that? Do you know the first documented cases of diabetes mellitus was just before the Black Plague in London. And you know what this doctor discovered? That it was only his wealthy patients that it was happening to, because it's only the wealthy that could afford to eat sugar. You see, what sugar does, we've got a red tonight. Yeah, you're still royal, but we're red. So blood glucose levels go up dramatically when these go in. You see, high glucose demands high insulin. So what happens is, because so much insulin's released, where's blood glucose levels going now? Too low. This is called hypoglycemia. And what does the person do down there? Oh, we'll have a candy, we'll have a Mars bar, we'll have a cup of coffee with 3 teaspoons of sugar. Will that get it up? Oh, yes. Oh, no, we're too high. Stop the glucagon, release the insulin. Oh, no, can you see what's happening here? Crisis, 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 crisis. We had the CEO of one of the big sugar mills in Australia come and do our program. He told me there's 15 teaspoons of sugar in 1 can of Coke. Do you know how much sugar cane is required for 1 teaspoon? About 1 metre. Have you ever eaten sugar cane? How long does it take to get through 2 inches? How long would it take to get through 15 metres? In other words, a can of Coke should take you about the time to drink as it takes to eat 15 metres. You see where it's just overload. So over here we're going to put a list of some of the causes, and we're going to put refined sugar. And this is the pure crystallised acid that's extracted from the sugarcane plant.
Refined sugar is a major contributor to this problem. It's highly processed and devoid of any nutritional value, leading to a quick spike in blood glucose levels. This constant barrage of sugar forces the pancreas to work overtime to manage these fluctuations. When the pancreas is unable to keep up, insulin resistance develops and diabetes can follow. Over time, the cells become less responsive to insulin, which means glucose stays in the bloodstream, leading to elevated blood sugar levels. Excessive sugar consumption contributes to obesity, which exacerbates insulin resistance. As the body stores more fat, especially around the abdomen, it becomes more difficult for insulin to do its job effectively. This cycle of rising blood sugar and insulin resistance creates a dangerous feedback loop. The impact of high sugar intake extends beyond diabetes. It can also lead to other health issues like cardiovascular disease, liver problems, and even certain cancers. To mitigate these risks, it's crucial to reduce refined sugar intake and opt for healthier alternatives. Incorporating whole foods, reducing processed foods, and focusing on a balanced diet can help maintain stable blood sugar levels and support overall well-being.
I'd like to give you some illustrations of what to eat. So let's have a look at some breakfasts. So breakfast. I'm going to give a couple of options here. One breakfast could be low GI fruit. So that might be, this is specifically for your diabetic, but you don't have to be a diabetic to eat this because it's so delicious. So low GI fruits, all your berries are low GI. Blackberries, blueberries, cherries, boysenberries. Low GI fruit. And now we'll do a grain. So the grain might be oats, or it might be millet. Now millet cooks up to a very nice porridge, but you've got to do 1 millet to 3 water. So most grains are 1 grain to 2 water, but millet needs a bit more water. Or quinoa. Or rice. And ideally, the 2 rices that are low GI are basmati and also brown. Now, if you aren't an early riser, you can put these in crock pots overnight. So there's quite a few things that you can do. Now, if someone's wanting to conquer diabetes, they need to keep away from even the maple syrups and the honeys, because that can give a blood sugar spike until that pancreas is happy again. So what can you use to sweeten that? Stewed Granny Smith apples. Granny Smith apples are very low on the glycemic index. And if they are bitter, there's one sweetener that will not get a spike in your blood sugar, and that is stevia. Now, most people say, I don't like stevia, and I say, why? Because it's bitter. You know why? They've used too much. It's almost hard to get your mind around the fact that 1/16 of a teaspoon of stevia equals 2 teaspoons of sugar. So people can't believe that you only use that much, so they use a little bit more, and if you use too much, you'll get a bitter taste. So start little. Start with just the tiniest bits. It's easier to add, you can't take it out. Coconut milk. This is a great and delicious additive on top of your breakfast. Or you could make a nut milk. So I'm going to give you a recipe for a delicious nut milk or cream that we do. 1 cup of, we usually do Brazil nuts. 1 cup of Brazil nuts and 1 tin of pears in natural juice. Now, pears are low GI. And then you might do, I don't know, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. And then you just blend well. And that makes a very delicious cream. Or you could use cashews. Or if you can get macadamias, you could do them. You blend it until it's like velvet. Pardon? Can you do cashew? Yes, same. Yep. And that makes a beautiful sweet, slightly sweet cream. So can you see that's enough to sweeten that? And then on top of that, put your chia, ground flax. And these really bring your protein up. Almonds maybe, or you could make that with almonds. So does this pass the test in high fibre? It's all fibre. Does it pass the test in protein? You've got protein in all of your grains, and you've got protein in your nuts, seeds, and a little bit in your coconut milk and your nut milk.
For an added protein boost, consider including chia seeds or hemp seeds in your breakfast. Both are excellent sources of protein and can be sprinkled over your porridge or added to your nut milk. Chia seeds also have the added benefit of being high in omega-3 fatty acids and fibre, which can help with digestion and keep you feeling full longer. Add a small serving of Greek yogurt in your breakfast. It's higher in protein compared to regular yogurt and can be a good base for adding fruit or a small amount of honey if you're not strictly avoiding it. Look for plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt to avoid excess sugar. When it comes to nuts, rotating between different types like walnuts, almonds and pecans can provide a variety of nutrients. Walnuts, for example, are high in omega-3 fatty acids and can support heart health. Don't forget to hydrate properly. Starting your day with a glass of water can kickstart your metabolism and help with overall digestion. Adding these tips into your breakfast routine can help you maintain steady energy levels throughout the day and support overall health and well-being. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you understand some of the causes of diabetes and how they affect our health. If you found this information useful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below. Take care and see you next time.